and just how they treat their crew, especially Motorhead. They wrote a song about it, and they were true to their word. And even to this day, like we're friends with Phil and Mickey. So it's great. That's kind of what we learned, I guess, just how to be cool or just how to be nice.
This is Tony Gonzalez from Made in Metal, and this is Rock. And today we are talking to Danko Jones, who is going to release a new recording called Leo Rising. Hello, Danko, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. My first question is if the title of this recording, Leo Rising, is related to the zodiac.
I mean, not really. I mean, there is a rising sign that everybody has. I'm actually not a Leo rising. I'm a Pisces rising. But it's also harkens back to our first album, Born a Lion, right? So Born a Lion, that's your sun sign. Your rising sign is, so it kind of bookmarks, it's our 12th album. So it's a nice bookend to our studio albums.
On Diamond in the Rough, you collaborate with the guitar player Marty Friedman. How did the idea of inviting him come about, and what did his style bring to the song?
Well, I mean, it started a few years ago, I think 2014 maybe, when I was on Marty's album Inferno, and I sang on three tracks actually. And so since 2014, we've put out records, but this was like a track where I could, we were like, yeah, we should get Marty on this because we know Marty is a big Kiss fan. And it had such an early Kiss vibe, a la Dress to Kill or Rock and Roll Over. So that's how so I just asked him, and of course he said it was great that he said yes, and so yeah, that's how it was as easy as that.
Si estás disfrutando esta entrevista por el universo del rock y el metal, este es el momento de apoyar lo que hacemos en Made in Metal. Cada entrevista, cada video, cada historia que contamos nace de la pasión por la música y el respeto por sus protagonistas. Suscríbete al canal, activa la campanita y comparte este contenido con tu comunidad. Esto nos ayudará a conseguir más estrellas del rock de las que han hecho historia y a ser tenidos más en cuenta por personas que están interesadas en estos contenidos, pero no nos conocen aún. Suscríbete, te esperamos. Was there on this album a challenging song? A song that was especially difficult to record?
To record? Not really. Like when we go into the studio, we're pretty ready. I mean, these days we don't have any time. Most bands don't have any time to write in the studio or to just like wait till inspiration comes. When we go into the studio, we've got the songs we're going to record. We know how to play them from beginning to end. And plus, we're a rock band. We're not a prog band. We're not a jazz band. There's nothing really hard that we do in terms of performance. It's more of a vibe that we're trying to capture on the recordings. So the songs are pretty easy to play. It's that doesn't mean that it's simple to write. So once we have the songs that we feel are really good, then, but they're not very difficult.
And the songs from Leo Rising were written especially for this recording, or you have sometimes some songs that you left behind and now you need to take again?
No, we never really write songs. We never really write albums with like leftover material. That hardly ever happens. It's happened maybe once or twice before where there was a song or an idea that kind of got overlooked in the writing. But when we put out a record, those are the songs we came up with in that time period.
Which track would you say best represent the spirit of Leo Rising?
Oh, I, I really think Every Day is Saturday Night, the first single that we released with the video, is really representative of it. However, songs like I Love It Louder and the Marty Friedman one, Diamond in the Rough, and I'm Going Blind are also really good too.
I always feel that your music is most of all happy. It's a happy,
Happy, right?
happy songs to jump, to dance, to feel really good. And so this is a weird question. If this album were a movie, what genre will it be and why?
Well, I think it's usually, I think an action movie would be proper because it's action movies aren't really depressing. And it's always in motion, which is what the records we like to put out, are always, it's always kind of upbeat. So I would say action. Yeah,
Also,
like I don't know the exact movie, but the genre would be an action genre movie, just because the songs are kind of upbeat and they, you know, there's nothing more to it than that.
can you tell us about your current guitar and amplifier setup for live shows?
Yeah, sure. I play an Hagstrom Ultramax guitar. I have usually tour with two or three of them. They're all Ultramax Hagstroms, and I play orange amplifiers. And usually there's an overdrive. Right now I'm playing the Dunlop EVH overdrive pedal. And that's it, really.
In the past, you play Gibson SG. What attracted you to the Hagstrom Metropolis that made you change?
You mean the Hagstrom Metropolis?
Yes,
Oh, you know that. Yeah, I was like we were writing a Rock Supreme, and the producer Garth Richardson, he said, let's take a break. So we went into town. There was a pawn shop there, and they had a row of guitars. And I was with Gibson at the time, and I was playing Gibsons, and I was playing, F-hole tellies in the studio. And this Metropolis that was just hanging there, and I picked it up, and I don't know what it was, but it was just, I didn't even plug it in. It just felt great, and I was like, I don't know why, but this feels great. Bought it on the spot. It was not a lot of money, and we used that guitar for pretty much every solo on A Rock Supreme. So when that album was done, well, while we were recording it, definitely reached out to Hagstrom and I said, I'm playing this guitar. Like, this is great. Your guitars are great. And from there, we built up a friendship and a relationship with Hagstrom and haven't really looked back ever since. I've been with Hagstrom since that record. So we're talking 2019.
when I remember your music, I remember mostly the riff,
Mhm.
energetic riff. Oh, tell me, with over 20 years of career, how do you how do you still find good riff energetic to record a CD? Or you have some riff in your smartphone or something when you remember a good riff, you play and keep it to the
Uh,
record?
no, I just usually write the song, like the riffs, when we're supposed to write the next record. It's not as if I spend the day like on my guitar cataloging riffs or coming up with riffs and then storing them away until the next record is due. Usually we're given a deadline and that's when I start writing on guitar. I mean, I'll be playing guitar on a random night or whatever, and I come up with some riff that I think is cool and I'll record it on my phone, but usually I don't use it. It's usually starts the writing for me in my head. I need to know, okay, so now we're writing a record. So that's when I start to really buckle down and get serious about the riffs and what I'm doing and what I'm playing and remembering it.
And after so many years, how do you keep the energy and attitude in every concert?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been pretty sprightly. Like a little, maybe a little hyperactive as a person, very sprightly. I'm quiet a lot of the time, but when I'm not, I'm pretty sprightly. So I think that's helped me like, and plus I just love the music so much. So, hearing the music and getting the chance to play live is such a privilege. I don't take it for granted. So if you don't take it for granted, you'll never be short on excitement. That's how I see it.
And looking back into your career, which album do you think opened the most door from Danko Jones?
Probably Born a Lion, our first album. Um, that's usually the one that kicks a band. Well, it pushes. Well, no, not really. It could be their third album, but for us, it was our first album. We got out there finally after years of putting out singles and EPs and touring, but not putting out a studio album. We had one out, and yeah, it's the cliche. You have your whole life to write your first album, and then you have 6 months to write your second one. And we know that very well. But the first album was, I think that really started things moving for us. Having said that, our second album I love as well. We Sweat Blood was a great album, and so was the album after it. I think all our records are pretty good. There's a couple now that we have 12, because Leo Rising is our 12th album. There's a couple in there that I would say, not as good. Definitely one, maybe two.
I remember watching you at Hellfest. It was before the COVID, maybe 2017, 15. I don't remember. But I remember that this show was pretty energetic. And you have toured with AC/DC, Motörhead, and Guns N' Roses. What was the biggest lesson you have learned from those tours?
We've never toured with AC/DC, never played with AC/DC, but
No?
we did no, but we did learn a lot from Motorhead and Guns N' Roses. Yeah, and they were great tours, and both bands treated us great. If anything, we've learned to treat the opening band nice, and just how they treat their crew, especially Motorhead. They wrote a song about it, and they were true to their word. And even to this day, like we're friends with Phil and Mickey. So it's great. That's kind of what we learned, I guess, just how to be cool or just how to be nice.
Most of the people around the world knows you as the singer, the guitar player in your own band, but
Mhm.
you have a life. How do you balance being a musician, frontman, writer, and sometimes cultural commentator?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I just, you take it one day at a time. Where you are is where you are. I know a lot of people in bands, when they get off the road, they don't know how to live. They're just so in the whole rigmarole of touring, and they can't get off the road, and they bring their bad habits home, or they can't get in, they don't want to do chores, and they don't want to take out the garbage, and that's not the moment I walk through the door, I'm doing laundry and washing the dishes. Like it's seamless to me. I love staying home. I love being home. Um, I understand touring is just really to pay the bills, so I know we have to tour, and we tour with a great bunch of guys, so it's always a fun time with everyone. But really, like I love just staying home, so it's not hard for me, is what I'm saying.
You published a book, I Got Something to Say, 10
Yeah,
Years of Rock and Roll Ramblings.
yeah,
So this book is not published in Spanish yet. I,
Yeah. That's too bad.
yes, but for example, do you think that the content of the book will be interested from people outside the English language?
Yeah, of course. I wrote it for rock fans. I didn't write it for English speaking fans. It was written for music fans. And music, traverses through any barrier like language. I mean, anyone who's interested in rock music will understand the articles written in there. It's not centric to just like Americans and Canadians. It's geared towards people who like music, especially rock music.
And are your personal experience or things that you have seen about other people?
Yeah, so it's a compilation of articles that I wrote for various music magazines throughout the 10-year block that it says on the cover. So they're not long pieces. They're just like commentating on. bands or road stories or just stuff that I had to meet deadlines with editors, and I just wrote all these articles one after the other for 10 years, and then I had amassed a bunch of articles. So me and the editor, Aaron Brophy, we went through all the articles together and decided which ones could make the book.
Now I want to tell you something, Danko. Even when I'm here in Spain, and the magazine is an Spanish magazine, I was born in Cuba, and the Cuban, the Caribbean island, and there your music was really known, even when you have never toured. And I think that you will never be, because the situation is very complicated
Mhm.
for these kind of things. So the Canadians are the second bigger group of tourists who goes to Cuba. Have you ever been to the Caribbean as a tourist?
No, but JC has. He's been to Cuba.
Perfect. Maybe the next time we need to talk to JC.
We
Yes,
would love, yeah, that would be, I think he would have loved that. That would have been, that would be great to play there, of course. We would love to.
you have talked about the importance of work ethic. What advice would you give new bands about discipline and consistency?
Well, you don't lose if you never quit. There's that. But also, there's that quote that someone told me recently. It was a David Lynch quote. Go chase your dreams, just make sure they're not crazy. So you have that to balance off of. But yeah, I don't know what to say because it just depends. I just had this undeniable belief in our band that whenever anybody would say sorry or slam the door or say no, not interested, we would just go, okay, fine, we're moving on, but we're never quit. We just always knew that this would somehow hit. And being in Canada, which is like a wasteland, if you want to be a rock band here, you're never going to go anywhere. You'll find a few people who like it, but you won't find a real audience to sustain a band. We were lucky enough to get a window of opportunity to go to Europe. And once we did that, we kicked the doors down and we just kept going. Um, and it made people here in Canada like scratch their heads going, look, how is this possible? Which proves the point that you just don't take rejection of what your art is at first. How can I say this? You just have to be tenacious about it, but believe in yourself, but have those beliefs be realistic too. Um, I would say now in hindsight, after doing this for 30 years, if I was to do it again, I don't know if I would, knowing what I know, I don't think I would do it. So there has to be a certain amount of ignorance and stupidity, and that comes with youth. You're just too young to know any better. And thank God for that. Because if I had known then what I know now, I wouldn't have done it. I would have said, no, there's no way this is going to happen. But I was too young and too stupid to think this isn't going to happen. I just said, we're going to do this. So who am I to say? I'm speaking as a guy who's doing it for 30 years. But the guy 30 years ago, my 30 years younger self would have probably said the opposite. So I really don't know. It's a little bit of just be realistic. Don't take the first rejection as the end of it. Keep going. But at a certain point, you got to go, is this a silly dream? So that's what I would say. But you're asking me what I did. We've been doing this for 30 years, and the 30-year younger version of myself would have said, "Oh, fuck that guy. Keep doing." Like I don't know. So I wouldn't, basically what I'm saying is I wouldn't have agreed with myself. So I don't even know if I can give advice. I would have said, don't do that. Right now, I would say, no, don't do that. That's wrong. I wouldn't do that. You're going to get rejected. you're gonna lose out, you're gonna lose money, you're gonna waste time. And the younger version of me would have said, screw it, let's go. I love rock and roll. So what do I know? What do I know?
Do you think that even when you waste money and have bad experience, you earn knowledge or recognition or something that is good for you as a person?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is a learning experience, everything. But you want to get to a specific, you're asking me if you want to get to a specific point. So like you're asking if I, for anyone who wants to like become a successful band or make that your life's calling, what do you need? What's your advice to do? I would say I don't really know. This worked for us, but that's due to a lot of tenacity and stupidity mixed with stupidity. Whereas just living life and having obstacles in your way and you overcoming the obstacles, well, that's just life. You got to live it and you got to go through the hardships and the obstacles to learn and to become a better person and to become a better version of yourself. But I don't know the end goal there. This question you've asked me, there's an end goal. There's a very specific end goal, and I just don't know how to get there if I had to do it again. I'd probably do it the same way, which is, again, a mix of tenacity and stupidity, you know, and an unwavering self-belief.
This is really, really, really important, Danko.
Yeah.
Believe me in yourself. This is a good,
Yeah.
yes. And but there has been a moment, an obstacle in your career when you say, if I don't overcome this, it's over.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Without getting into the details, yeah, there's been times where, yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe three or four. And you just got to keep doing it, see what happens.
Yes. But
You can't give up right away. I'm not saying don't give up because that's also very dangerous. If you don't give up, you're going to either end up a pauper or a very, very angry person. So sometimes, life redirects you, even though you might not want that or see it at the moment. But um, we just kept going.
so after this valuable answers, if you have to sum up your life philosophy, what will it be?
Uh, it's really stupid sounding, but I would just say music will always be there. It's your best friend.
Yes, music always be there. Yes, you must remember from the Beatles on and before, the people now are listening all kind of music.
Hmm.
Yes, and I imagine that maybe more than one Danko Jones song will be part of the soundtrack of life of several people.
Oh, I hope so too.
Yes, yes. For example, now that I talk to this, there is a song in this recording called I Love It Louder. The
Mhm.
title suggests a lot of energy. And what would you describe the message of that song?
Well, that's a very personal song too for me. The message is, I guess, I never really thought about a message. I just knew what it was about. Um, but basically, kind of like what I was saying, like if things get you down, that you will rise up louder or higher. That's basically the general gist of the song. It's a very personal song for me, so I don't really like explaining the personal aspects of songs for me because it just kind of ruins the the interpretation of the listener, right? So, but yeah, I would say generally speaking, I love it. It's in the title. I love it louder, but also the meaning of it would probably be, yeah, I love it louder, meaning I love it. I'll do it. It's hard to say, but if someone brings you down, you rise up higher, basically. That's kind of what it means.
As long as I remember, at least there is one song in each of your recording that is related to sex, that not sexist, sex.
Mhm.
And imagine this is your interpretation, that is the real. My interpretation, when I love it louder, is that you are making love and you want to make it louder.
Sure. See,
Yes,
that's why I don't, to each his own. I mean, that's great that you think that. That's great.
yes. It's not only that I want to open the window and tell
Right.
the world that I love her.
Right. I got you. I got you.
Yes. It's a more human feeling. It
Right.
is. You frequently mention your punk and DIY heritage. How does that do-it-yourself philosophy influence the band today?
Oh, I mean, it's in there on every album. I mean, there's songs like What You Need, the opening cut, very punk rock. In terms of just how we conduct ourselves off stage too, like punk rock has had a very big influence on us. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're a garage punk band. That's where we come from. So, it'll always be with us.
Considering that band members now live in different places, how did this affect the writing and recording?
No, no, it didn't. We did it the same way we did the last record, Electric Sounds. JC, our bass player, he lives in Finland. Rich, our drummer, he lives in another province, but because Canada's so big, it could be like two countries away. And I'm still in Toronto. We record our albums in Toronto, but JC sends the files of his bass to the studio. Pretty much, it's during the pandemic, we did Power Trio, the album Power Trio, and we kind of wrote it remotely, sending files to each other. So when people moved out of the city, we still did it that way.
You mentioned previously, when I asked you about an advice for young bands, you mentioned tenacity and stupidity. But let me tell you that I cannot visualize you doing something different than music and playing. So if you weren't a rock musician, what do you think you will be doing right now?
I would be probably starting a band. That's probably what I'd be doing. I don't have any idea either. Because we've been doing it for so long and we've been doing it since we were so young that just never really had a chance to survey our options. We, I went to school for film, so maybe it would have been something in film, but I highly doubt it. Um, but it's more like this is what I always wanted to do since I was 6. So I'm very lucky in that sense. And there hasn't been any time where I've gone, maybe I should have been, maybe I wanted to be a doctor, or I'd rather be like a filmmaker, or I'd rather be no, I've just always wanted to be in a band and tour. So I do that. So in terms of like wanting to do something else, I'm pretty okay with it. I know a lot of people in life, they don't really get to do that. So I know how lucky I am in that respect. So I haven't really given it much thought because of that.
And coming back to the recording, is early to talk about a tour or you have plans?
Yeah, it's been announced. We have a tour mid-November to mid-December this year. It's going to be 4 weeks. Yeah, in Europe, tickets are going pretty good, so we're happy
Perfect.
about it.
In Spain?
Not, yeah, weird that it's not on this run, but we'll definitely be touring again and hitting Spain.
I will see if we can have a connection and contact the band to come to Spain because after this recording and the previous recording and the other recording that are one of my favorite, every time that I listen to your new recording, say, wow!
Oh,
It
cool.
made me
Yeah,
feel
we hit
happiness.
Barcelona and Madrid. We usually always play there. I don't know why it's not on this tour, but we should be hitting there very soon.
I will be waiting, Danko.
Right on.
So thank you very much for your time.
Okay, cool, man. Thanks a lot.
Yes, it was a nice conversation. At the beginning, I see you more serious than what I imagine you are. But
Right, right.
yes, maybe it's early in the morning there in Toronto and it's cold.
It's almost lunchtime, so.
Have a good lunch and thank you very much for your time.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye.